Hey, what's going on there? 90's music lovers. I hope all is well with you. It's been a bit since I did my last episode. Give me back my 90's music. But a lot has been going on. People's life get busy. It's no excuse though, because there's so much to go over and so much to talk about. And it's been actually if you've been watching my posts on the Instagram page, there's been so much going on. I know a couple of days ago was the, let's see, 09, 19, what is that? 25-year anniversary of Typo Negative's World Coming Down album. And, that's always been one of my favorite albums by them. I know a lot of people, a lot of fans like it, I think, for the most part, as they do with most of their work. But I know that reading some interviews, reading some excerpts from Johnny, reading some excerpts, I think maybe from Kenny, I'm not 100% sure. But I think they said that album took a lot out of them. It was a different period, I believe, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing what I thought I saw. Um, which is interesting because it goes to show you sometimes that what you love from a band sometimes has mixed feelings from the actual people who created it. I can only say that I remember that album coming out, and I remember at the time Rolling Stone was primarily a music magazine, which it is not anymore, nor would I read it. And therefore, I remember being like, just like, oh, so overly joyed to see it up in the charts and have really good reviews. Not that those people's reviews meant shit to me. I go by what I hear. But to see it there, I thought was really cool. And that album played a really special part in my life because at that time, once again, listening to the songs on an album, the lyrics especially, I felt like there was nothing else out there that even came close to it. I mean, when you talk about the ultimate unique creative impact that album had on not only just Typo Negative's catalog but in music in general, it's amazing, man. I remember I mentioned him a lot. A good buddy of mine, Frank Ferry, who was also a hardcore Typo Negative fan. I felt like we were the only two that we knew of until we found like so many other people. Excuse me. It was actually really cool to do that. But that was the part of the special relationship too with the music, is that him and I, like, we were deep into the music. I mean, that album alone, we would drive around Brooklyn in his Maxima back in the day, and be blasting that album over and over and over and over and over and over again. We even had some of our friends in the car who probably weren't into Typo Negative music, but we blasted it for them anyway. And it, like I said, we were mesmerized by the lyrics, by the songs, by so much of the of what was on the album, even the little interludes of, like, suckers, which I still love, or lung. You hear the thing. It was just a really unique album. It took me forever to figure out what the hell white slavery was about. I had no idea. It took me like a little bit to figure out, and then everything just made sense after that. But there are so many good songs on there, right? White Slavery, Who Will Save the Sane, um, you know, um, All Hallows Eve, which is just, I remember listening to that, and that was something out of this world, man. That was something way, way, way out of this world. I mean, I think they really had to be going through some interesting stuff to really get that unique sound, those unique lyrics. I mean, damn, those are some crazy ass lyrics. World Coming Down is by far one of my favorite songs ever made. I was really lucky to see them perform that live various times. They did it in long form. They never like shortened it. It's probably, I think it definitely goes into their top, whatever you want to call, 5 or 10 best tracks that Typo Negative ever had. I mean, the way the song, like I always talked about in the past, the way the song changed, It started off a certain way, and then it has that middle part when he's talking about, lying in bed awake. I forgot whatever else he says, and it's better to burn uh, quickly and right. That whole part where it slows down, then it picks up again on Josh's on the piano. That dun 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 dun. Dun. I mean, it was like this great combination of sounds coming together and music coming together. Something that they were all masters of. And then it just got really hard. Kenny's guitar, him, Peter screaming the lyrics. Um, Again, it's such a phenomenal album, I think. And it had some of the best covers ever on there when you think about it. I mean, Day Tripper, If I Needed Someone. I mean, such a great album that stood alone, man. Plus, the really cool photos that they had on the cover of the bridge with the green and black. Inside the sleeve, I remember all the cool photos of the band all dressed in green. Peter with the suspenders on, Kenny, and Josh, Kenny, and Johnny all dressed with the black jackets in Brooklyn. I think that was, I think they took that on the pier, the promenade or something. But man, I don't think that album gets its due. I think, I always felt, maybe it's just me, man. Maybe because I'm just such a big fan. That's my favorite band of all time. Like I'm sure I do what all Typo Negative fans do. We hold their stuff here. And like I always say, there was grunge, and in the 90s, right, there was grunge, metal, rap, there was R&B, there was punk, there was a little bit of everything, right? There was all this stuff going on because Johnny Cash was still going strong at that time, right? Willie Nelson and country is still going strong, and was still going strong at that time. And then you had all these great girl bands, in terms of Hole, in terms of No Doubt. So there's all this stuff going on, and with these one hit wonders and stuff like that. And then there's Typo Negative, like here in their own category. And I think that is what I mean when I say they stood away from everybody. So that's why I feel the way I do about their work and their albums. And what I really wanted to do with this episode is tie in a couple of things. I saw Typo Negative 14 times in concert. I was blessed, humbled, and motherfucking thankful to see them 14 times. I think I saw probably all of my buddy Frank Ferry too. I think I saw them twice at Roseland, which obviously is not there anymore. If anyone is familiar with Roseland, you would know. It was that great place to go see shows. It was a great place back in the 20s and 30s to go see big bands, where actually my grandparents went to go see, Count Basie, Gene Krupa, all those guys, Glenn Miller. And I saw them one time, my only time, or maybe my second time, at Lemoore, right after 9/11/01. I wish I would have been, born in a couple years earlier, where I would have been more familiar with Lemoore and all that stuff. Lemoore, I should say, with an apostrophe S. I saw them at I saw them in Jersey. I think 2 or 3 times. Starland Ballroom was a great show. I saw them. I'm totally going to mangle this, but I think it was the Fillmore East, but it changed its name. I saw them at was it the PlayStation Theater in the city? It was the couple of the last shows that I saw them there, and then I saw them. Oh man, I'm trying to think of where else. I don't know, 14 times. Anyway, I have the ticket stub saved. So one thing I really noticed about them was they never talked politics during their concert, because I'm seeing all these videos recently, and maybe it's because election time is right around the corner, of certain bands that stop shows to give you their political beliefs. And for me, as a fan, it really bothers me, because let me just say this. I didn't pay an exuberant amount of money to go see a band, to have them stop the show and go on this political rant for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Now, that being said, I applaud and appreciate their right to say whatever they want. I applaud and appreciate their choice to support whatever, whoever, whatever they believe in. That's great. Wonderful, man. God bless you. Freedom, America. But listen, dude. I came here to see you sing. I didn't come here to listen to 10 to 15 minutes of you give me your feedback on who you think everybody should vote for, number one, who you're going to vote for and why, and how you feel about A, B, and C. Like, that's great, but that's not what we paid for. That's not what we paid for. Okay. Now, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have a side where certain people like, yeah, but it's very important that people, musicians up on stage do that. Other than Typo Negative, who's my favorite band of all time, I'm an Elvis psycho. A lot of people who know me know that already. Elvis, Johnny Cash, Rob Zombie, The Doors, The Beach Boys, Jimi Hendrix, greatest guitar player of all time, whose anniversary of his death just passed us. God rest his soul. The Stone Temple Pilots, obviously Soundgarden, Alice in Chains with the original lineup. All these bands, that's who I love, right? But the most genius thing, in my opinion, there's a video out there when Elvis came to the Garden. I think it was in, I want to say, 72. He was dressed in the blue outfit, and he's asked all these questions, these political questions about whatever they're asking about Vietnam, about this, about that, and he responds to the woman. He says, "Honey, I'm just an entertainer. I'm just here to sing." And I think that was the most genius quote ever. And then they tried to double down and catch him again, and they asked him, "Do you think that other artists should act the way you act and say what you say on this subject?" He said, "No, I don't. They got to do their own thing." So I think that was just pure genius. It was pure genius, because the fact is that when you are a musician, you have fans of all colors and creeds on all sides of the whatever. Why would you want to separate yourself from them? Why? I don't understand that. I also don't understand people. I can understand why people would get influenced by what someone else tells you, that you look up to, that you listen to, but why? Why? What I don't understand. Like, you have a brain, you have a head, you have the ability to make choices, right? So I don't think these people know any more or less than you do. My problem is that when you stop a show to do that, I don't get it. Now, I'm not saying they should not speak up. Like when I saw Guns N' Roses on I think it was 2017, 2018, Not in This Lifetime tour. I thought it was really cool when Axl Rose stopped the show to talk about how sad he was about the recent death of Chris Cornell, and therefore went in to sing Black Days, which was, I'm sorry, not Black Days, Black Hole Sun, which was amazing. Like, that's good. I think if like a group or a singer wants to, raise awareness for charity, or raise awareness for someone who's having it really rough, maybe they're sick off a bit, maybe it's for a policeman or a fireman who's passed away, or a soldier, and they have family that people need to help cater to. I think I'm all for it. I mean, I'm in toes and fingers, man. Let's go. But when you stop a show to tell me about your political belief, I mean, it's just like I don't know where we're going with this. So my point being, tying this to Typo Negative, they never did that. All the 14 times that I've seen them, they never talked about that. Like, a couple of the things I remember, like it's this day, in between their songs, they would always play in other songs, and they would always, like, you'd hear some riffs from Aqualung, from Jethro Tull's Aqualung, or they would start "Come As You Are" from Nirvana, or they would just say real funny, funky shit, man. Especially Peter. who said some. I mean, there's so many videos of him doing that. That's what I loved about them, man. They were for everybody. They never sold themselves out. They never sold too high when it came to concerts. They didn't do any of that. And I tell you the truth, there's a part of me that feels that I can't tell you how many times a week I wish that they were around, especially this time of year. I think that they would have been the outlier had they would have stayed around, because they're one of the few original bands that I know that never sold their asses out and never tried to upsell their tickets too high. They wanted their fans to come. I remember reading something about that, especially. I remember, and not to drag it on, but when I had met the band, when I saw them at Duff's at some gathering, it was my first time at Duff's. I'll never forget. Uh, Someone had said something. I saw Peter from a distance. I happened to be close to him, and someone had said something to him for him to come to the back or come to another part of the bar. I remember him saying, no, 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 there's fans outside that came to see us. I can't do that. They came to see us. They paid to see us. Like, that was really, um, that made an impact, man, on me. Like, I had so much more of appreciation for him as a person and as an artist. Like, they gave a shit, especially when I met all them. They couldn't have been nicer. They were down to earth, cool. We drank, we bullshitted. They were awesome, man. And it fucking kills me that there is no more of that. So what part of this episode was about politics and musicians, right? Look, like I said, you have a show. You have everybody and their mother come to see you. Black, white, Asian, Spanish, Italian, Irish, German, Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, Scientology, I guess you want to say. Why would you want to say anything to push one side? I don't understand that. Like I said, if it's really important issue or something like that, I could sort of see it, like a 9/11 type thing, or you know, um, a war going on. But even that, like, I just feel like you don't need to stop the show to take 15 minutes for you to stand on your soapbox to spit this rhetoric out, and I don't know. Like I said, it's just my opinion. Me personally, I would never, like. I'm not a musician, obviously. I know that. I would never do that, because it would just be my experience that everyone there is there to see us cohesively and collectively. Why would we want to dissuade anyone? Why would we want to push anybody away? Because that was the genius, like I said, of Elvis. When he went home, he had his own beliefs, and everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. Everyone is entitled to their own ideas. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I don't go out and spew my things to people. I wouldn't do that. That whether I agree with them, whether I disagree with them, I don't. Where's that going to get me? And I don't understand why certain bands do that, or certain musicians do that sometimes, because I just I don't get it. I don't think anyone should be told by anybody else how to do things, what to believe. I think people have to make their own judgment on their own, do a little research if they have to, or, you know, talk to people who know more than them about a certain subject. Talk to people who know more than them about certain things. My thing is, like, I didn't pay $125 for 15 minutes for you to rant about, I don't know, what you don't like, what you're not going to deal with, who you're going to pick and why. I mean, like, it's just like, okay, And I know a lot of fans of certain bands, diehards, that feel the same way, and to them sometimes they're like, yeah, I don't pay any mind to that, whatever. I'm not there for that. And I get it, man. So I don't know. I just feel that, sometimes through the music you can really unite everybody. You don't need to speak or give your opinion or pick a side, because music is surrounding and unites everybody. That's just my 10 cents on that. Other things going on is Jane's Addiction. Did you see that video? Now, funny thing about them is I saw them 2 years ago open for the Smashing Pumpkins, and they were phenomenal. I saw them at the Garden. Perry Farrell sounded great. He was dancing all over the place. Dave Navarro was not part of the band at that time. They sounded great. They did everything. Mountain Song, Jane Says, all their hits. Um, seeing this recent video was really shocking to me because I have a very good friend who told me she had seen them not too long before that whole debacle took place, and she didn't. She said there was something off. He was missing um, chunks of lyrics. He was late with his lyrics. There were a lot of other people that said the same thing, and now I see all these reports showing online, which is really unfortunate because I knew Perry Farrell was a little bit nuts, but I thought it was a good nuts, man. I mean, I know he's an ultimate artist. He's a Queens guy, like myself, so I give him a lot more credit. But it was a shame to see that them. It's always a shame when something like that happens in public. I mean, I hate to say it, but there are times that the first couple of times I watched the video, I laughed because the fact that he just kept going and then he just like turned to the first person. It was like Dave Navarro. I'm just gonna fucking pick on this fucking guy for no reason because he used to bang Carmen Electras and shit like that, and he just jabbed him in the chest. If you look though, in the back, I always forget the bassist's name to the Chains Addiction. He's throwing uppercuts into Perry Farrell's abdomen, man. Like he connects like Holyfield. So they disbanded not too long after that, and now there's all these stories. I mean, according to Perry Farrell's wife, Perry Farrell, if I'm saying it right, he had tinnitus. Dave Navarro was playing over his vocals. Here's my problem with that: if you go to a show and you're standing in front, a lot of the times they have sound check and sound mixing goes on all night long, and usually a guitarist or a lead singer will signal out to the sound person and make a signal and say make it louder, make it lower, dot dot dot, whatever. So supposedly the people in the front row was saying that his lyrics were being drowned out by the guitar. I find that hard to believe because I mean I wasn't there, but I find that hard to believe because I thought all that would have been taken care of in sound check. I mean I could be wrong. That's just my 2 cents there. But again, another great band from our time of the 90s. Dun 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 dun. And another one bites the dust is no more. And Jane's Addiction was at the forefront of the whole movement in the early 90s. And I don't think they ever really got their due. Well, they did break up rather early. So they were like the pioneers. And of course, Perry Farrell created or co-created Lollapalooza. Then he went on to Porno for Pyros, where they had a lot of luck. And of course, Dave Navarro spent some time with the Red Hot Chili Peppers on the album One Hot Minute. Like I said, he was banging and married to, I don't know who he was married to, he was banging Carmen Electra. Kudos to you, sir. She still looks good. Yeah, it's a shame, man. Well, what do we got left these days, right? There's what? There's Green Day, there's Smashing Pumpkins, thank God for the Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, right, was just on tour. The Foo Fighters is still there, Metallica. So we got some acts, man. We still got some acts. Speaking of the Foo Fighters, I don't know if anyone's been watching or listening to that whole thing with Dave Grohl that he had a kid. I don't know, what an ex-girlfriend who he's now aware of has grown up to be an older or a teenager or whatever. I must have literally in one day seen like, report, or like breaking news. And I'm saying to myself, this is breaking news. What Dave Grohl, he had a kid years ago with I don't know, some other woman. And now there's pictures of his wife not wearing her wedding ring and she's dating. Do I give a fuck? I mean, really, do I give a shit? Why the fuck would anyone care about that? I don't care. It's like if Davy down the block collects Happy Days lunchboxes, do I give a shit? How's that? What's that going to do for me? Is that really important news? Right? If James Hetfield takes a shit sitting backwards on the bowl, do I care? Not really. Hey man, do what you got to do. It'd be funny to walk in on you like, "What are you doing, dude?" But like, why would that be the major news? Why is that like? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? And literally, I saw that story all over the place, flooded in so many different pages. I couldn't believe people wasted their time printing that, taking pictures of it, and reading about it, which I'm guilty of, to tell you the truth. But you know, it's good that we're seeing all these 90s groups that are left still still going strong because, like we always say, um, it was the best time if you were around, and it was the best time. It was our 60s. It was our 60s. It's debatable what was better, the 60s or the 90s. I mean, it's a hard comparison. Of course, a tip of the hat has to go to the 60s, with Woodstock, with Elvis, Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, the Doors, the Beach Boys, Janis. I mean, the British invasion, all the other groups who were part of the British invasion, the Supremes, Motown. I mean, we're talking heavyweight type shit. You know what I mean? So, but it was a fabulous time, man, and that's why I think that it's great that we still have stuff from the '90s in terms of music, and I love when I see it become younger kids, teenagers really into it for the right reasons. Their parents have really done a great job because it is one of the greatest eras in music ever. So I thought about this episode all day long. Um, and rest in peace, Jane's Addiction. Um, so Seven Dust is another group that's still out there. So is Godsmack. So, like I said, we still got a lot of stuff out there. But my buddy Frank just saw live and the new, Stone Temple Pilots, the new lineup, which I can't come around to do because listen, for me, it's like the Doors with Jim Morrison. There's only one. Same thing with Weiland. I can't see anybody else with them. I can't see anybody else with Alice in Chains. That's just me. For everybody else that likes them, God bless you. And listen, I'm open to listening to some of them. I'm sure some of those songs, I've heard a few, they're pretty good, but it's just sacred to me, man. And I'm sure a lot of people kind of feel like that. So just wanted to, talk about this in this episode, especially the political thing, man. It's just like, I just want to hear some music. I want to hear what you guys do, man. And even like if I go see a band that I've never seen before, I just want to hear some music. I want you to take me back to that time, or I want you to play that song and force me to remember where I was when I heard that. That's the special link between a lot of these songs and, the way we personalize them. So, something to think about. I got all philosophical. How about that? Next thing you know, I'll be wearing a toga and fucking and sandals, right? Ancient Greece and shit like that. But all right, I'm out. I'll be coming back at you with some more content for the next episode to give me back my '80s music podcast. Peace. Thanks for listening.